Hello guys, this is my new video about a more peculiar and particular concept, that is what is fictitious assets. Most of the times in interviews, uh, in exam questions, we are being asked that what are some examples of fictitious assets, or what do we mean by the term fictitious assets. So in this video I will try to elaborate the very simple in a simple way that what is meant by the fictitious assets. So first, the word fictitious, it basically literally means that is not true or fake or false. Or we can say that is something that does not exist. So that is known as the fictitious. So now what are the fictitious assets? Basically, the fictitious assets are not assets at all, as well as the fictitious assets are the intangible assets, that they have no physical existence, they are not characterized by the physical existence, you cannot see them, you cannot touch them, and in the real sense these are not assets at all. But the reason that why these assets are known as the fictitious assets when they are not assets, there are certain entries or certain situations that in which the fictitious assets are created, and the reason that why the fictitious assets are considered as assets and they are recorded on the debit side of the balance sheet, that is they are recorded on the debit side in the balance sheet on the asset side, because these types of the fictitious assets need to be written off during certain period of time. That's why that the fictitious assets are recorded on the debit side of the balance sheet, that is on the asset side. Listen once again, that what is the reason that the fictitious assets are recorded on the debit side of the balance sheet, or why these are recorded on the asset side? Because these types of the assets, that is the fictitious assets, need to be written off in the coming days, in the future. So that's why they are being recorded as on the debit side of the balance sheet, that is as on the asset side, while in the real sense these are not assets at all and they have no physical existence. The only reason that they are recorded on the asset side is that they are being written off in the coming period. There are certain examples of the fictitious assets. For example, the promotional expenses of the organizations in the preliminary stages, that is the during the incorporation of company. Beside that are promotional expenses, discount allowed on the issue of shares, or loss incurred on the issue of debentures. So these are the various examples of the fictitious assets, but these are not actually the assets. These are, in the real sense, these are either expenses or they are either capital losses. But what's the reason, what is the logic that we are going to record them on the asset side in the balance sheet? The only reason is that because we have to write off these assets, these expenses or losses. That is the reason that we record it on the asset side of the balance sheet. And beside that, these are usually the the expenses or losses in the very huge amount, and we cannot consider them, or we cannot recognize them as the expenditure of the current period. In that very case, it may result in a big loss for a company. So these are spread out, these are written off in a number of years. That's why these types of the assets, that is the basically which are expenses or the capital losses, are recorded on the asset side of the business, and these are recorded as the assets, while in the real sense these are not assets at all, as well as they are intangible, they have no physical existence. And these are the few examples that the promotional expenses, preliminary expenses during the incorporation stage of the company are considered as the fictitious assets. In case of the shares issuance of the company, the shares may be issued on the premium or they may be issued on the discount. If they are issued on the premium, that is above the par value, so it results in the capital reserve, which is an equity account and is shown on the equity side, that is liability side of the balance sheet. While on the other hand, if there is the issuance of the share on the discount, that is below par, so in that particular case it results in the capital loss, and that is considered as the fictitious assets. So keep it in mind that these are not assets at all, they are only the expenses or the losses, but for the reason of that we have to write them off in the coming days, in the coming future, these are considered as the assets. So the fictitious term itself means fake or untrue. Thank you guys.